Hi everyone, welcome to the A to Z Movie Show. I'm Charlie Zizza, your average moviegoer.
I'm AJ Beltis. I watch a lot of movies.
And today we're going to be reviewing Call Me By Your Name.
Well, before we get into that, Charlie, what are you drinking tonight?
I'm drinking, let's see here, Sip of Sunshine. Lawson's, is that the brewery?
It irks me that you're guessing this. You're drinking Lawson's Finest. All right, so if you go on Beer Advocate, this is one of the highest rated beers. So I hope that you
From
are...
Stratford? Where's Lawson's?
It's actually closer to Warren, too.
Wait, oh, okay. I was reading something else. Sip of Sunshine IPA is brewed by Lawson's Finest Liquids at Two Roads Brewing. So they brew in Connecticut.
Oh, they brew it at Two Roads? No kidding.
Evidently.
Huh.
Anyway. Yeah, it's very good. What are you drinking?
I am drinking a Hellbrook because I decided to take an impromptu 8-hour round-trip drive to Stowe, Vermont on my day off yesterday and get some beer. Anyways,
Okay.
We're not here to talk about beer. We drink beer, but we talk about movies. And this time we're talking about Call Me By Your Name. But before we get into it today, we just wanted to take a second to remind you guys that if you like this show, take a second, leave us a review, and subscribe to us on iTunes. We also would appreciate you sending us your comments on what you like about the show and what you think we can do to make it better. Charlie, how can people send us their comments for ideas?
They can email us at theatozmovieshow@gmail.com. I have so far received no emails, and I am very sad about that. So please send us anything that you have to say,
Charlie,
or any suggestions you want to make.
I know people, almost everyone this day and age has an email. What happens if they don't? How else can they get in touch with us?
They can tweet at us. I am very old.
Oh, God. It's like they have no excuse not to tell us what they think of our show. They can email us. They can tweet us. Charlie, where can they find us on Twitter?
They can tweet us at symbol A to Z Movie Show. We will read your tweet.
And probably reply to it.
And tweet at it? I don't know. All right. So, AJ, why don't you give us a little rundown on Call Me By Your Name?
Call Me By Your Name is a romantic coming-of-age film directed by Luca Guadagnino. I just butchered the Italian name, so to that entire country I apologize. This film takes place in Italy in the summer of 1983. Elio, a 17-year-old boy and son of a college professor, is upset to learn he must spend the summer with his father's student, Oliver. However, as the summer progresses, so do their mutual feelings. The film stars Timothée Chalamet from Lady Bird, Armie Hammer from Birth of a Nation, and Michael Stuhlbarg from The Shape of Water. I'm transparently still processing this movie. We got out of this just less than an hour ago, and kind of putting it all out there. I heard it was going to be a big movie for Oscar season, and I kind of went in with my expectations a little high, and so frankly they weren't met in their entirety, but there was still a lot to appreciate and love about this movie. So I'm still processing, but I'm curious, Charlie, where you're kind of going right now.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. I would say it's a sort of intense movie. Definitely, if you're paying attention, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot that is going to bring you throughout the whole ongoings of the plot. I thought it was very good overall. I didn't expect a lot out of it going into it. I heard it was an artsy movie,
Which it totally is.
Which it is. And I don't mind that necessarily, but I just, in my experience, a lot of those movies are, at the very least, they don't meet my tastes, so I don't enjoy them. I'm sure there are people who do, but I almost view them as being artsy for the sake of being artsy. And I don't think that's the case with this movie, so I did like that. I can see why it's getting a lot of talk for awards. That said, it's not going to be for everybody. So
Why do you say it's not going to be for everyone?
Very artsy. There's not a lot that goes on in the traditional sense of a plot. It's just very character driven.
It's artsy, but it doesn't bother you too much in this.
No, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
I
normally it does. But
I'm not opposed. No, not at all. I'm not opposed to the idea of an artsy movie. One I can think of, Moonrise Kingdom. Have you seen that?
Of course I have.
Love that
Jiminy
movie.
Jiminy Cricket, they flew the coop.
Great movie.
Jiminy Cricket, they flew the coop. That's the quote that I was trying to go for.
Right.
Continue.
So, no, I have nothing against artsy movies at all. It's just that when they appear to be artsy for the sake of being artsy, which isn't necessarily the case, but from my perspective, I'm not entertained by a movie, so that's how I see it. That's what I don't like.
Totally fair. But again, in this movie, I thought it was okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, like I said, I am still processing this movie. It is, like you said, very deep. But I want to tell you a couple things that I did like. And I want to start off first and foremost with the direction. I really appreciated it because I think it came from a very sincere place. The director, Luca, whose last name I will not try to butcher again, he had his actors go places where I think maybe at times were a bit too over the top. I think some of the romantic scenes were borderline goofy, but other moments had a very genuine approach.
What do you mean by goofy, though?
So, I don't really want to cross into spoilers here, but I mean, obviously, it's a romantic drama between this man and this boy, and so I'm not really spoiling anything by saying that yes, they do get together at several points throughout the film. And the first time when he's just kind of like licking him, I thought was a little weird. Do you remember when they were at the lake and sitting on the grass?
Yeah,
that was just a little too over the top.
Yeah. So I see what you're saying. I kind of feel the same way. There was a lot of. It was very visual, which is fine. But to say that it was goofy, I mean, yeah, it was goofy, but I think that's intentional.
I mean, yeah,
that's
there were
relationship.
People that were laughing in the theater, even.
Yeah, there were.
Yeah.
There were a few. But I think that shows that it's a genuine relationship.
Again, yeah, I think that there were like I said, it was incredibly genuine in several of the other love scenes, but there were a couple that just kind of, I don't know, hit me the wrong way, I guess.
I had the same thoughts about it, but I also saw the value in it, so it didn't bother me too much.
But yeah, that was, I guess, one thing I liked about it, one thing I didn't like about it. I want to talk quickly about the acting, too, which I think is one of the cruxes of this film. The ensemble, take or leave it, but I do want to specifically highlight the two leads. And I thought Timothée Chalamet, who played Elio, who's the 17-year-old lead, I think almost every single scene features him in some capacity. He was great, particularly in that final shot, but specifically, I think that Armie Hammer carried this movie. I thought he brought tons of energy to this role. I think it was definitely a very courageous role, as was Chalamet. So major props to both of these actors, but really blown away by Armie Hammer, I think.
Which one is he?
Armie Hammer played Oliver.
Okay, so this is possibly going to sound very stupid. Was he the guy from Mad Men?
Is Armie Hammer in Mad Men?
Is he the main guy, Don, from Mad Men? Have you watched this?
No, Don Draper is John Hamm.
Okay.
And John Hamm is like 50 plus.
Yeah, no, he definitely looks younger in this. He's 50?
John Hamm?
I mean, he looks younger than 50 in Mad Men, but...
John Hamm is exactly 46.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
Anyway, so, but you gotta admit, though, it looks a little bit like the guy. I didn't think it was him, but he has a sharper face.
Okay, sure. So,
what else is this guy in?
Armie Hammer was in Birth of a Nation, which sadly was kind of overshadowed by a lot of controversy last year. I thought that Birth of a Nation was fantastic.
This is a Netflix one, right?
No, this is the movie about Turner's Rebellion. Nat Turner.
Oh, okay.
And you just...
I didn't hear about this, but okay.
Yeah, very, very effective slave drama. I thought it was outstanding. But what else do we got? We've got... he was in Nocturnal Animals. He was... You know who he was? He was Amy Adams' second husband for a couple scenes. And the scene, like when she found out that he was in the elevator...
Wait. What are we talking about?
Nocturnal Animals?
I did not see the whole thing.
You saw... This is in like the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, no, I saw that person. So that might be what he looks familiar from, because he does look familiar.
Perhaps.
But I don't know about this elevator, so don't spoil
it. Well, no, it's in the beginning. Remember when Amy Adams finds out that her husband is cheating on her?
No. But
it's like very implicitly. But
I just skipped immediately to the scene after that.
Okay.
In my memory.
Well, let's see what else he's in. He is in The Man from U.N.C.L.E. He's in The Lone Ranger. He's in the social... Oh, he's the Winklevoss twins in Social Network.
I didn't finish that.
And looks like he was in a couple episodes. He was one episode of Veronica Mars, which I know you didn't watch.
Okay.
Yeah. But he's good. He's, I guess, at this point, frankly, kind of an up-and-coming actor. He's had a couple movies, but...
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know that this is doing well. Are a lot of people seeing this? There were a lot of people in the theaters today, but...
Yes, this is definitely doing well.
I don't know despite it being an artsy movie, a lot of people are artsy.
I don't know the specific sources, but I remember it saying that for being a very platform rollout film, which platform rollout is letting a few select cities see it, and then letting the word of mouth do a lot of marketing as opposed to spending
Okay.
dollars on marketing. So the platform rollout attempts on this to get in smaller cities, the box office numbers for it were extremely high.
So what were those cities?
So probably just like New York, Los Angeles. Those are usually the typical ones where.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, I thought the acting was great from everyone, but particularly Armie Hammer, and he has been nominated for a Golden Globe and Critics' Choice and Independent Spirit Awards, and he's up there to get a supporting actor for the Oscars, at least nominated. So I would love to see it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my pick for, at this point, best supporting actor I've seen this year.
So he's considered a supporting actor?
Oh, yeah, and we can jump into this in a second, but there's a whole chunk of the movie where he's just basically not even there.
Who's not there?
Armie Hammer's character, or Oliver.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So the lead is the other guy, Emilio?
Is Elio, yeah, the
Elio?
17-year-old.
I keep calling him Emilio. I don't know why. They kept, like, I couldn't pick up on his name. I thought it was Emilio at first, then I thought it was Elio, then I went back to Emilio. Anyway. Yeah, no, I thought both performances were really good. I actually liked the dad. He was very entertaining, at least.
Okay, tell me why you like him, and I'll tell you why.
Because he's Mario. He's Super Mario.
He's Mario? Okay, well, aside from the Mario thing, what did you think about the quality of his acting, his performance?
I couldn't really tell what he was thinking.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because, I do a lot of looking into who's being nominated for awards and what are the contentions, and he has been also touted alongside Armie Hammer as one of the frontrunners for a supporting actor nomination, particularly for the last scene that he's in. And we can talk about this if we jump into spoilers. You mean the
last big scene he's in?
Yeah, we can talk. We'll jump into spoilers in a few minutes, but
okay.
I thought he was fine, and I don't think that... I thought that final scene, just like the whole movie, was very important, but I don't think that warranted a nomination for acting.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but for most of the movie, he was just sort of there. He was entertaining, and he was definitely a character to watch, because, he had a presence on screen.
Yeah.
And he was Super Mario at the beginning, so that was...
All right, how is he Super Mario? Because I'm not seeing that.
I don't know. I just think he looks like him. He was kind of like really goofy.
Anywho, I think we should talk about the cultural impact that this movie could have, the cultural significance, and the importance and timeliness of the movie.
I think that this is the first time that this movie would be shown and it not being a big deal.
Yeah, particularly because of the age difference. Because I remember there was a little bit of controversy when Brokeback Mountain came out, which...
Was there an age difference on that too?
None whatsoever, no.
And there was a controversy?
Yeah, just because it was, forgive me, but it was the gay cowboy movie, which I have no problem going on record and saying I love Brokeback Mountain. I think it's a beautiful movie, and I
haven't seen it.
It's absolutely worth watching if you can just say, "Yep, I'm a guy and I'm going to watch."
So does this remind you a lot of that?
Not really.
Okay.
There were definitely a couple derivative scenes. So again, I'll jump into those in spoilers, but it wasn't a shot-for-shot remake or anything. But there were definitely echoes of a couple inspirational.
Just a thought, because a lot of people who've seen that would probably consider seeing this as well.
Because there really haven't been, and this is sad because gay people make up probably 10 to 20% of our population, and
I have no idea.
They get 2 movies in the past 15 years, 2 mainstream movies about them. But
I mean, yeah, I feel like it's becoming more common to see it as an aside in a movie rather than being the movie, which I think is even better. That's better news for progress that community is making.
Again, I'm glad this movie was made in terms of that argument, because I agree there's not enough movies made about, again, 20% of the population, 10-20% of the population who their voices need to be heard.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it's being released and I haven't even heard of it. And up until when we saw it, or a couple of days ago when we talked about seeing it, it's not a big deal. I mean, it's very intense, and when you see it, you get immersed in the whole thought process and the arguments behind it. But it's not a big deal that there's a movie about a gay couple being released.
And I'm not gonna lie, I went into the movie thinking that the age thing might have gotten to me a little bit, but once the movie was going and once their romance started, it didn't bug me at all. It wasn't
the age difference.
Yeah,
see,
it didn't.
I'm different though. I think it bothered me throughout the whole movie. And
really?
And remember, we were talking about it before we went. Yeah. I said that, what's the big deal? Why does it matter what the age difference is? Yeah. And I mean, it's a significant difference, especially since one of the characters is 17. which in some states in the United States anyway, that would be considered a legal child as far as consent goes. But it bothered me throughout the whole movie a little bit, and I think has a lot to do with the fact that the guy who played Elio looked very, very young, even for the age of 17.
Well, he's actually a year younger than us. He's 22 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, so with makeup you can do things.
Yeah.
But he looked very young, like middle school young, in my opinion.
I think at middle school young.
His face was a little bit older, but he was like his body fat percentage must have been like 4%.
All right, I'll just put it on record too. There was way too much shirtless Elio in this movie. I think probably 3/4 of the scenes he was in,
That's a good point.
He had no shirt on. And I'm just,
yeah. I think also this movie was a lot more sexualized than a similar movie would be about a straight couple, and I'm not really sure why. And that was something that bothered me a little bit. It was, basically, it's just a very basic romance.
Yeah, it absolutely
is. There's nothing spectacular about that relationship.
That is why the age thing didn't bother me very much, and it's because it was very just
a normal
straightforward.
Right, exactly. So there's no weird stuff going on. I get that, but it was just, I don't know, it was a very weird dynamic that was going on. So,
all right, so let's jump into spoilers for a bit. And just check in the comments to see when we jump to spoiler-free reviews, what time that is. But for now, until then, don't listen unless you have watched the whole movie or don't mind being spoiled. And then either way, just, again, jump right ahead to that part where we give our spoiler-free review to see what our final thoughts are. So, spoiler warning. So,
to be fair, I think that this movie is very predictable. It's
you know that. They even say at the beginning they're going to be together for 6 weeks, and then you know.
Yeah, the whole plot is known when you walk into the movie for the most part. It's just the development of the characters, really.
So there's a couple things I did want to save in terms of what I didn't like about it, and that for me, and this might get a little bit of flack, but for me the screenplay was very off. It was just very disjointed. The movie felt, in more instances than one, that it was very disjointed. There were certain scenes that I felt didn't belong or didn't need to be there, and I think one that stands out to me is the scene where the mother's translating the German book. And you remember that at all? When the three of them are lying on the couch before, like the day before they go swimming? Yeah. I'm just like, why is this scene here? What's the purpose of this scene?
I think it was just to show the relationship between the Elio and his parents, that they're very close, and the fact that he's 17 years old and he's willing to lie out on their lap and have him be read to. A little bit strange for a 17-year-old.
That's a fair argument, Charlie.
But I see what you're saying, that it didn't add much to the plot. It was more of a character setup, not even development.
Yeah. There's this whole kind of subplot that Oliver has an infection on his ab.
I wouldn't call it a plot.
Or like this side thread, and again, this is going to sound like an absolute blasphemous comparison, but all I could think about was the scene in the room where the mom goes, I got the results of the test back. I definitely have breast cancer. And you never hear from that again. And that's just kind of what it reminded me of. It's like, well, I have an infection. It's like, okay, cool. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. When you say it was predictable, I disagree. I thought that was going to kill him. I thought that infection was going to grow and swell and kill him. I was like, oh, that's going to be his downfall or something like that.
I thought it was super clear that was very much casual and at most side note.
Why even bring it up? It felt so okay.
I hate to do this.
An infection.
I hate to be that person.
Do it.
But I think it was symbolic.
I feel like we're having a little bit of a role reversal here, Charlie.
So that's what I think it was. I thought it was pretty clear that it wasn't a major plot point.
Symbolizing, Charlie?
I have no idea. It could be it's an infection. Maybe it's going to infect him or Elio in quotes, or infect in quotes, the way society would see it, especially maybe in Italy. I don't know. They're probably more
really reaching there. I mean, it makes a little bit of sense.
Look, it doesn't make sense as a plot point either because they don't bring it up again.
Yeah.
So, I agree that it probably shouldn't have been in there. If it is symbolic of what I described, I think it's silly and goofy and out of place and maybe like very 1995.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was supposed to be any plot point.
And there was also this sort of weird scene where in between the first time, like when Elio and Oliver first kiss on the grass, and then they don't talk for like a few days, and then he's like, meet me at midnight. There's this really weird, again, kind of disjointed moment where you're not like, are they fighting? Are they just not speaking? It just seemed really off.
I see what you mean.
I think that whole scene was just, I didn't really understand what I was watching. Then they got back together.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a
pointless.
lack of an explanation of what the relationship between Elio and, what's the girl's name? Do we even know?
Marzia or something.
Oh, okay.
But I'll check.
No, that sounds about right.
But
it was important, and I enjoyed the relationship and interactions that happened between those two characters.
It is Marzia, yeah. But, yeah, I agree.
But
I
it was
liked her.
really, at the end of the day, there just to emphasize the struggle that Elio is having throughout the entire movie on his sexuality and who he is. Which was not something I was expecting at all going into this movie. I thought that it was very clear that the protagonist was going to be gay and that it was just already set up because he's 17 years old. So in my mind, that's, something that somebody figures out earlier on in life. But, this, again, and I think a lot of people feel that way as well. I mean, being an adult legally almost, or maybe in Italy you are, I don't know. And not knowing your sexuality to a lot of people, I think would be a very weird concept to consider happening. So,
kind of on that note, but not really. I didn't get the whole "call me by your name" part either. What was the point?
It was. Yeah, I think it was a mistake basing the title of the movie on that.
It just
quirk of their relationship because it's like a sexual thing that they're. You know what I mean? It's like an inside joke or...
Yeah. I feel like I have to look up what does Call Me By Your Name mean on Google, and there's going to be some...
And there probably is an artsy reason for what it is, but... the way I saw it is just a relationship quirk. Everyone, and even just a friend, have inside jokes that they do to each other. So it's... I think that they could have emphasized it less, and maybe they're looking for a title to base this on. I don't know. It was weird.
So
uncomfortable.
Quick connections to Brokeback Mountain. I know that there are going to be so many more than this, but the first two that come to my mind are the fact that Elio ends up with Oliver's shirt at the end. That's a really big plot point of Brokeback Mountain, where Ennis ends up with Jack's shirt at the end, and that's kind of the big crux, and it's almost like the heart of the ocean, if you will. Okay. He kind of like holds it at the end, and that's that symbol of their romance. And also the fact that both of them have side relationships with women. Both Jack and Ennis end up getting married to women in their respective lives, and then he ends up getting engaged at the end, and what's his name? Elio has a girlfriend.
Well, wait. Oliver doesn't necessarily isn't necessarily getting married to a woman.
I thought he said she. You're right. He maybe. I will also say it's the 80s in America, and no gay people are getting married. Yeah, it's the 80s.
Okay.
And even in Italy, I don't think gay marriage was legal in anywhere until early 21st century. So I think it's safe to assume that when he was engaged.
That's a valid point. I didn't realize it took place back in the 80s. I was thinking it was more like early 2000s.
Didn't the shorts get to you?
What shorts?
The shorts that they were wearing throughout the entire movie that basically went up all the way.
It's a different country. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So I thought that was ambiguous, but I guess not.
Yeah. All right. So, anything else on your end, Charlie?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that I thought the score was really, really good in this movie. Did you have any thoughts on it?
At first, I feel like there were two main themes that I heard. The first theme that I heard was off, and then the second theme was a little bit more soothing, and I enjoyed that a lot. And I think you're right. I think it did kind of complement the sort of sensual tone that was going out throughout the entire film.
Yeah, and then of course you have the piano.
That he's playing throughout, that Elio's playing.
Yeah, and the way that they work that in, both he's playing it and as part of the score, And
I liked that too. I think the humor, again, the goofy sexual stuff aside, I think the humor kind of worked really well. I like this whole idea of, do you like the way he says later? I don't like that. I like the way that we're saying this is the way that this song would go if this composer covered this composer's version of this original version. And I remember when he was like, "Play it the way you."
I like that scene.
Yeah, that was cool. I like that.
That was early on.
One other nitpick I'll have, and this is again another problem with the screenplay, was I feel like Oliver became gay because the movie needed him to be. And the only explanation that they threw in there was, "Didn't you know when I touched you that one time?" There was, to me, no indication.
Who said that?
Oliver said that to Elio. It was like, "Couldn't you tell I liked you that time that I touched you?"
What do you mean Oliver became gay? I think it was pretty clear that he was gay from the beginning. That he was bisexual.
I didn't get that at all. I felt it was very
I could have seen him being straight too, but I mean, there also was development. So towards after the first half of the movie, I think he becomes more openly gay, more cliched, but
it felt really like, well, and also it was from Elio's perspective throughout the entire movie, and so an argument can be made that we would not see Oliver's, I guess, homosexual tendencies because we never see his perspective throughout the film.
Yeah.
We only see that through Elio, and that we only see those tendencies when he's alone in his bedroom or something like that. So
yeah, and can I just say those some of those, there were a few, 2 or 3 of those bedroom scenes.
Yeah.
With just Elio.
Yeah, kind of weird to watch, but also very important, I would say, to the plot. Like
very important.
But yeah, exactly. Okay.
Especially the one with the fruit. About halfway through, maybe
that
a
was
further.
So weird.
It was weird, but it was good.
Do me a favor and analyze that for me, Charlie.
Do you really want me to analyze that for you? I think it's very clear, and nobody needs to analyze for them.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't get it. I had to look it up after the movie.
Okay, what did it say?
It said that basically the whole excess of going too far. Where, like, there are a lot of times in that movie, in that scene.
Oh wow,
like,
you're going really, a level beyond. Okay.
They're saying, are they really going too far? And the, again, film geek analysis of it is, at this point, they have gone too far. They are in too deep into their relationship.
We were talking about different nuances of that scene.
So tell me what your nuances are.
No, going too far. Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, but I don't really get why, because he didn't really go too far with the girl.
No, it was with the guy.
Right. But the scene was with the girl.
No.
Well, it was alone, but you know what I mean. I think that we don't want to go too much into that. You guys can see it for yourselves.
All right, so speaking of going to see it for yourself, should you go and see it for yourself? My answer is going to be a soft yes. I thought there's a lot to appreciate in this movie. I think that the acting from its 2 leads was great. The direction, again, very sincere. I think it's an important movie, a timely movie. I think if this is a cause that you care about, and if this is important to you, then absolutely go see this movie. I think it does the whole subject a great deal of respect. It handles it very maturely, and I think it wraps it up very maturely in a very progressive manner as well. So there's also a couple of good artistic pieces in there. I think there is some great cinematography. The music is very good. I want to go ahead and give this movie a 3.5 out of 5. And the reason that I'm not going to give it anything much higher than that is because at several parts in the screenplay, for me personally, it felt like it was a little disjointed. And I can appreciate some of those artistic art house nuances, but only to a certain extent. And I think that there were, to kind of counter what you were saying earlier in the debate, Charlie, was I don't think that all of their art house pieces were necessarily justified. I think there were some shots and some scenes that just maybe didn't really feel like they belonged, or that they were necessary. And if I'm going to kind of go for maybe even your position and say the average moviegoer, and I'm going to say, did that really matter to me? I guess really if you take more and more time and dig a lot deeper and say, yes, okay, the scene of the mother translating a German book with her family was really worth 2 minutes out of my day to watch this. But then...
Oh, that's harsh.
Exactly, was it? So that's my opinion. I'm going to go, again, for a 3.5. I think there's a lot to enjoy and appreciate in this movie. Definitely go see it if you're on the fence. But, yeah, it's a good movie. Call Me By Your Name.
Okay. I thought it was good. I would also recommend it. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars.
Wow! I didn't think you were going to go that high, Charlie.
It's written right here. I've been looking at it for 10 minutes.
I got the microphone's covering your nose.
Okay.
Wow! Okay, I think that's the highest score that... Aside from my score for Star Wars, I think that's the highest score you've given on the show. So this is
Yeah,
going to
I've given, or that
anyone's
else?
given. This is going to need some hefty justification.
No, I thought I gave it 4.5 for something else.
I don't think so.
Disaster Artist, maybe?
No, we gave it a 4.
We both did?
Yep.
Okay.
Hefty justification.
Yeah, so I think that if you have the patience for this movie and you have some interest in the subject, you know the subject going in, you should go see this movie. I think it's very relatable to the audience, even if you've never been in a situation like the characters have been in. If you're not part of the LGBT community, it doesn't matter. I think that it's very relatable. It's a coming-of-age movie.
Yeah, I agree.
From the perspective of somebody who happens to be gay back in the 80s. So, a little bit harder than today, probably. That said, it is very artsy. It's also kind of long. I thought it was going to end a few times in the last half hour of the movie or so. And I was kind of hoping it would. So, you do need the patience for it. You need the interest in the subject. You need to be able to pay attention very closely to the quirks of the movie and the subtleties of the movie. I think there are a lot of, if you like this sort of thing, like innuendos in the movie. They're like there are a ton of them. It was constant. It was kind of like Get Out at the beginning of Get Out.
Yeah, we got some black mold in the basement.
Constant. It was just non-ending. So I thought it was a little more subtle in this movie, but very, very much there. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it for anybody who can sit through the movie. I think it ended up being longer than 2 hours, right?
I think maybe just a hair over.
Okay.
But that brings me to 2 more things I want to say.
Kind of long, but...
one of the things I want to say is I was never bored at all, despite the fact that I think some scenes maybe were unnecessary or not great. But, I mean, I never felt bored. The other thing that I would say about it is the final shot, the credit shot.
Yes.
Without really spoiling anything there, I just thought that was very moving. And
I agree.
They just stick with one shot and just stay on it. And it's basically one character's reaction for 4 minutes of credits. So
I think
going into the movie, you will get the full runtime because you're going to stay throughout the entirety of the credits.
Yeah, and I wasn't bored either.
No.
And to mention something about the ending scene as well, I think that anybody who watches that as more than just a credits roll can relate to how that kid is feeling at that moment.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that we've all been there, and just looking at his face and that his acting there was very good.
I think is going to get him the nomination for best actor.
Yeah,
he was fine throughout.
Right, kind of weird though.
The
credits roll getting you so much buzz for nominations for acting. And that's
but justifiably so, I think.
Definitely, and I think the music choice helped too. But anyway, yes, very relatable movie. I think it's worthwhile for everyone who is open-minded enough to see it to go see it.
All right, so that was the A to Z Movie Show's review of Call Me By Your Name. 3.5 out of 5 from AJ and a 4.5 out of 5 from Charlie. So overall, we both like this movie. Go catch it, especially if you're into awards. It's going to be picking up a lot of nominations at the Oscars, and it already has picked up nominations at the Golden Globes, Critics' Choice, and Screen Actors Guild. So if you're an awards person, then you already know you have to see this movie. Charlie, remind people again what they should do if they want to get in touch with us.
They should email us with questions, comments, suggestions at the A to Z Movie Show at gmail.com. No spaces, no underscores, no dots, just as it sounds. Or tweet at us at A to Z Movie Show. And also make sure you subscribe to us on whatever platform you listen to us on. Right now we are on SoundCloud and iTunes. And give us a review down below, and that will help us out a lot.
That really helps us. All right, guys, we will see you next week and later.